Hello everyone, how's it going? I hope you all are doing well. Let us learn about reproductive health. What is meant by reproductive health? It is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being in all aspects of reproduction. Previously, we have seen that the process of sexual maturation is gradual and it takes place while the general body growth is still going on. That is why some degree of sexual maturation does not mean that the body or mind is ready for sexual acts or for having and bringing up the children. Then, how do we decide that if the body or the mind is ready for this responsibility or not? And at that time, people are under many different kinds of pressures about these issues. There can be pressure from the friends for participating or involving in such kind of activities, whether they really want or not. There can be pressure from the families to get married and to have children. Another type of pressure we can consider that it is from government agencies to avoid having children. So these type of many pressures people have. What can they do in such kind of situations? So in this type of situations, making correct choices can become very difficult. It is not about only the mental pressures by this kind of situations. We must also consider the possible health consequences of having sex. In standard 9, we have already discussed that diseases can be transmitted from person to person in variety of ways. There can be many ways to transmit the diseases. But the sexual act is very intimate connection of two bodies. And it is not surprising that many diseases can be sexually transmitted. So, that is very much important that while having sexual intimation, people must know about the health consequences of having sex. The sexual act can transmit many types of diseases. Let us know about few of them. Let us first see the diseases which are transmitted by bacteria. So, the first one we have is gonorrhea. This is a disease which is transmitted by bacteria. And how does it cause? Gonorrhea is caused by sexually transmitted bacterium. What type of symptoms will it have? So, in male, there can be symptoms like pus-like discharge from the tip of penis, painful urination, pain or swelling in testes. What type of symptoms will it have in females? Increased vaginal discharge, painful urination, abdominal pain, bleeding after sexual intercourse. This type of symptoms this gonorrhea disease have. So this is the disease which is transmitted sexually and it is transmitted by bacteria. Another disease which is transmitted sexually by bacteria, that is syphilis. It is syphilis. What are the symptoms? This syphilis is caused in different stages. So, symptoms may vary in each stage. General symptoms we can consider as rashes on the skin, also vaginal discharge, and pain in genital areas. As I said, syphilis is transmitted, spread by sexual intimation. So, syphilis and gonorrhea are transmitted by bacteria. Then, the diseases which are transmitted by virus. So, in that first one, we have warts. It is caused by a virus. Symptoms are fleshy, painless growth on the skin, itching in mouth, also in genital areas. So these are the symptoms, general symptoms of warts. Then we have another disease which is transmitted by sexual intimation, that is HIV AIDS. We have learned this HIV AIDS, right? HIV is a virus, human immunodeficiency virus, which causes the disease called AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. How does it transmit? By sexual intimation. It is transmitted by semen or vaginal fluids during the sexual intercourse. It can also be transmitted by infected blood. What are the symptoms of this AIDS? As we know that it is affecting the immune system of the body. So, which will affect the whole body immunity system. So, it will have the symptoms like fever, pain in abdomen, skin rashes, sweating, weight loss. These all are the general symptoms. So, AIDS and warts are the diseases which are transmitted by viruses during sexual act. So, what are the ways to prevent transmission of many of these infectious diseases? So, there are the ways to prevent it. One of the way to prevent the transmission of this type of diseases is to use a covering which is called a condom. So that is the covering for the penis during the sex, which help to prevent the transmission of infectious diseases. Now, the sexual act always has the potential to lead to pregnancy. And pregnancy will make major demands on the body and the mind of the female. And if she is not ready for it, then her health will be adversely affected. And therefore, many ways have been devised to avoid pregnancy. Always, the sexual acts has the capability to have pregnancy. But if the male and female are not ready for it, then there are the ways to avoid pregnancy. What are they? Let us learn some of them. We will learn about contraception. Contraception is a phenomena or a process which is used for avoiding pregnancy. And these contraceptive methods are having a number of categories. The first one which we will learn, that is the creation of a mechanical barrier so that the sperm does not reach the egg. Now, we all know that when there is a fusion between female and male gametes, when there is a fusion between a sperm and an egg, an ovum, right? Then only it will make a zygote. But if there is no need of this fusion, how can we prevent it? If the sperms does not reach to the egg, how will they form an zygote, right? So one of the contraceptive methods is the mechanical barrier, and which is the use of condoms. Condoms on the penis will help to avoid pregnancy. How? Condoms are the covering which is done on the penis during the sexual act. If it is used during the sexual intercourse, the sperms will not come out of it. And if sperms cannot reach the egg of the female, then there will not be any fusion of a sperm and an ovum. So, this is one way to avoid pregnancy. Same way, for the female also, there are the coverings which are worn in the vaginal area. So the same way as the males use condoms on the penis, for vagina, for female, there are the coverings which are available so that the sperms cannot enter into the vagina of the female. So it will not reach to the fallopian tube and there will not be any fusion of sperm and an ovum. So this is another way to avoid the pregnancy. So here we have learned the first method of contraceptive methods, in which we have learned mechanical barrier. So for male to use a condom, and for the female there are the vaginal covers. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, now the second category of contraception is by changing the hormonal balance of the body so that the eggs are not released and fertilization cannot occur. So this is by changing the balance of the hormones of the body. And how does it help? Because there are changes in the hormones, what will happen? The eggs will not be released from the ovaries, and if the eggs are not released from the ovaries, there are no chance of fertilization. And how this can be done? How the hormones of the bodies can be changes? There are drugs which are commonly needed to be taken, which means medicines. So there are the medicine which are needed to be taken orally for this purpose. So how does this medicines will happen? It will create imbalance of the hormones of the body of female, and that is why the eggs in the ovaries will not be released. So if the eggs are not released, there will be no chance of fusion or fertilization. So this is the second category of contraception, which is by changing the hormonal balance of the body by taking oral pills. We can say it as contraceptive pills. Then the third category for avoiding this is to use the loop. As shown in the picture, this type of loops are placed in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. Then another device which is used is copper T. As shown in the figure, this is the device which is called copper T. It is in the shape T. So it is placed in the uterus. As you can see in the picture, it is placed in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. How will it prevent? If it is kept in the uterus, there will not be any chance of fertilization in the uterus. And there are no chances that the embryo and fetus develop in the uterus, because in the uterus this device is kept. So this way, this copper T will help to avoid pregnancy because it is placed in the uterus. One side, it helps to avoid pregnancy, but on the other hand, it can have side effect also, like irritation in the uterus. Then another method is surgical method. From the word we can easily understand that it can be done by surgery. How it is done for male? Let us see. In males, we know that the testes produce sperms, right? And from that vas deferens is a tube which transfer the sperms. So what happens in this surgical methods for men? A small portion of this vas deferens is being removed or being cut. So if it is being removed or cut, a small portion of this tube, then what will happen? The sperms which are produced in the testes will not be able to move ahead. And if the sperms will not be able to move ahead in the tube, there are no chances that from the penis it will go to the vagina of the female. So there is no chance of fusion of sperm and egg. Same way, in surgical methods for female, what is to be done? Females also have fallopian tube. So a small portion of fallopian tube is being cut or removed by surgery. Then what happens? There are no chances of the fusion of sperm and an egg, because we know that the fusion takes place in fallopian tube, right? So if that small portion is being cut or removed, then there are no chances that it will move ahead and it develops, right? So these are the methods which fall under the category of surgical methods. So in males and females, in both the cases, what happens? Blocks are done, right? They have blocked the way. So what happens? Fertilization will not take place. Surgical methods can be used to create such type of blocks. While surgical methods are safe in the long run, surgery itself can cause infections and other problems if not performed properly. See, if the males and females use the surgical methods to avoid pregnancy, it is helpful for longer time. But if the surgeries are not done properly, then surgery itself gives major problems. If it is not done properly, if it is not performed as it must be. Surgery can also be used for removal of unwanted pregnancies. These may be misused by people who do not want a particular child, as happened in the illegal sex selection abortion of female fetus. Also, for a healthy society, the female and male sex ratio must be maintained. And there are laws which say that the sex determination is not allowed. It is the law. Still, it is being done, it is being practiced for many societies, which should not be done. Earlier, we have seen that reproduction is the process by which organisms increase their populations. The rates of birth and death in a given population will determine its size. The size of the human population is a cause of and concern for many people because an expanding population makes it harder to improve everybody's standard of living. Because let us consider a case wherein in a family there are 4 to 5 people. Then we can spend good amount of money for house. We can afford good food also. We can afford good clothes, and we can afford good education. So if there are more number of people in a family, then surely that standard of living it is being going to be affected. That is why if there is more human population, it will make it difficult to improve everybody's standard of living. However, if inequality in society is the main reason for poor standards of living for many people, the size of the population is relatively unimportant. So, in this session, we learned about reproductive health, wherein we learned the diseases which can be transmitted by sexual intercourse. Also, we learned the ways to prevent this type of diseases. Then, we learned the contraception, where we learned contraceptive methods, where the first we learned the mechanical barrier. Then we learned the surgical methods. Also, we learned the methods by changing the hormonal balance of the body. Also, we learned about contraceptive devices which are placed in the uterus. So, this is all about reproductive health.